Welcome to this video on warrior healer women, past and present, and the new Aries Pisces cycle coming up very soon. By the time you watch this, it might have already started. It just depends on how soon you see it after we post it. And this was inspired by a video that we did back in 2017 on Aries warrior women, past and present. And it was really good. So we went back to the ancient past and found women that had been very warrior-like and protecting and defending and all of those things. And then we looked at current times. And so we decided that it would be fun to do it now and look at the Aries Pisces blending that's taking place with this upcoming Venus cycle. And it is astounding. And I will just say, as a Pisces sun and Venus in Aries, I have lived the Pisces Aries reality my whole life. And now that we're getting to focus on it in this way has been just lighting me up like crazy. So good. So, anything else you want to say? And as we start this out, Sheridan?
No, well, I'll just say that I love how it's taking you into a whole nother level of your own chart and how that's so good for all of us to remember that uncovering our chart, our soul path is a lifetime path, and there's always going to be pieces that go, oh my gosh, that's what this has been about for me. So I just love that this cycle is really offering that to you in such a powerful way.
Thank you. Me too. And giving me words I'd never had, or ideas or thoughts or perspectives that I'd never had before. So hopefully that does that for the rest of you watching this. And even if you don't have specific Aries Pisces, or you just have Aries, or you just have Pisces, well, you do have it somewhere on your chart, whether you have planets there or not. It does show up somewhere. And you may have planets in those houses, or there may be other ways that that shows up for you. But this is something that I feel is really reorienting our whole perspective around how we viewed the astrological mysteries. It's just mind-blowing. What's happening is, or I'm trying to say the word consciousness expanding instead of mind-blowing, because we want to expand our consciousness.
Not blow our minds up. Yeah.
Blow our minds up, right? Exactly. So
Yeah. And regardless of whether you have prominent Aries and Pisces on your chart, it is there somewhere. It is the entire new 19-month Venus cycle, the meta goddess of this whole cycle. So it is the teacher, the energy, the alchemy that's available for us for transformation in our divine feminine energy for all of us worldwide.
that's so well said. I love that. Yes. Yes. It's on the collective, it's in the collective consciousness. And so we're all being affected by it. So this is awesome. So we're looking at the blending of Aries Pisces, and here's just a few thoughts. And we've shared more about this, and we'll have some other videos that you can tune into. We'll put some in the show notes that we've already done. But basically, the Aries Pisces meta goddess is the compassionate, fierce protectress. And she's restoring the cosmic balance and divine justice. And that's very much the Aries aspect of it, but the compassionate aspect is the Pisces, where she really deeply cares and has the empathy and is willing to go and do what needs to be done because she feels it, not just because it's a great idea. So, and she's intuitive and she knows how to blend in when necessary, very Piscean to be able to blend in, uh, be the chameleon it's like how you could show up in this group and people think you're like totally one of them. And then you could show up in another group and people think you're like totally one of them and they're completely different groups. Very Piscean. I remember looking at that when I was in high school, and I was like, wow, when I show up in this group, I'm really outgoing and and in this group, I don't feel like I'm very quiet and shy. And I said, I'm like two different people. And then later I was like, oh, that was my Pisces. I didn't know that then, but anyway. And embracing life in all its dimensions through the power of fire, action, and water, intuition, insight, and compassion. And so this combination is both personal, Aries is about the self, and Pisces is impersonal, about selfless service, to the divine or selfless service to the greater reality, however you want to look at that. And really when we put the two together, it's seeking a true balance between them both. So this is the opportunity we have, and it's so exciting.
So exciting.
So we're going to talk about the past women, Mulan, who's Chinese, way past. A little further back, but not as far back as Mulan, is Joan of Arc. She was French. And then Lozen, an Apache warrior woman, medicine woman. So we're going to look at that. And then Sherilyn's going to share about hers.
And then the present women representing Aries and Pisces we're going to look at is Simone Biles, Queen Latifah, and Dolores Huerta.
Love that. Oh my gosh, they're so good. Okay, so Mulan, Hua Mulan, I guess is the way to say that. Hua means flower, and Mulan means magnolia, an ancient Chinese symbol representing purity, nobility, renewal, healing, and fortune. I just thought that was so amazing. Like, okay. And they don't know exactly when she lived, but it could have been 420 to 579 AD, or it could have been 581 to 618 AD. They're not entirely sure exactly the time because there's these stories that are told about her, poems that have been written, things that are in the record, but they just don't know exactly when she was around. But she took the place of her aged father. This is the most well-known story about her, in the conscription for the army by disguising herself as a man. So that's the very Piscean, she was able to blend in and she was such a fierce warrior that nobody knew. And she rose to the place of general as this. So it's like, and nobody knew. No one knew. She was able to pull off that for such a long time. And she was able to, so again, that Pisces trait, the chameleon blending, adapting to different situations, appearing very different depending on the situation. And then taking her father's place in the army, disguising herself as a man was a selfless act, Pisces, because he was too old. He couldn't do it and there were no sons that could take his place. So she did that to protect her father, very Aries kind of expression. And then she served in the army for 12 years, the Chinese army for 12 years, and she rose to the rank of general without anyone knowing her secret. So amazing. And she was so she could really come off as the fierce warrior woman, but they thought she was a fierce warrior man. And she was able to command the troops. So that's pretty amazing. She was a master of kung fu and the sword and held the respect of 60,000 warriors and was able to prevent the invasion of a nomadic horde into her country. And that was the main reason they were conscripting people at that time was because they had this invasion happening and they needed people to defend and protect their country. So after her distinguished military service, of course, very Aries, she was offered a high office, but she declined, choosing to retire to her hometown and be reunited with her family, Pisces, feeling the compassion, the empathy, and also wanting. The only reason she did this was for her family, so, especially her father. So then when she retired, finally revealed herself as a woman, and everyone was like shocked. Oh, really? You're like, wait, you're a woman? How did that happen? So, in selfless service, Pisces fashion, her accomplishments were about saving the people, not herself. In Aries fashion, she protected her family, community, and nation. So she definitely has the Aries Pisces. And we don't know what her chart was because we don't really know when her birthday was. And so, but we can see that she definitely represents these qualities in her life and what she did. And then we have Lozen. I think, wait, aren't we missing somebody? Um, was Lozen next? Oh, Joan of Arc was last. Okay. I thought I'd put them in a different order, but but oh well. Okay, so Lozen was born around 1840 near Ojo Caliente in present-day New Mexico in the Chihenne. I'm not sure I could pronounce that right, Chiricahua Apache tribe. And her father was the chief, and then her brother became the chief. And so she had this coming of age ceremony they did for all the Apache young women. And she received a spiritual calling that gave her the power to sense the location of the enemies. So she had this a psychic, a sensitive ability to tune in and feel these things out, very Piscean. And it was a sign that she should become a warrior, very Aries. So, and the women were supposed to be the hunter gatherer, take care of and the men were the ones that were supposed to be the protectors. But she was a powerful medicine woman, very Pisces, and skilled warrior. And she helped her tribe escape the USA soldiers from 1877 to 1885. So quite a long time, 8 years. And she fought alongside her brother Victorio, who was the Apache warrior and prominent chief, who introduced her as his right hand, strong as a man, braver than most, and a brilliant strategist. So you can see that's a very Aries expression. And then, according to Alexander Adams in his book Geronimo, she would stand with her arms outstretched, chant a prayer to Usen, who is like the great spirit, great mystery, great spirit, supreme deity, Apache's supreme deity, and slowly turn around and accurately sense where the troops were located. So that was how she could do that. And she did eventually surrender along with Geronimo and the rest of the Apache warriors in 1885 so they could be reunited with their tribal family that had been shipped off to Florida, but she was sent to Alabama. And one of the things that happened was her brother, Victorio, was killed when she was off helping a woman give birth to a child and then taking that woman back to the tribe so that the baby and she could be safe. So that was what she was in the process of doing when her brother was killed because she wasn't there. So I'm sure that was heartbreaking, but she was also being of service uh, to something more important or something that she felt was very important in the moment. She died on June 17th, 1889, around age 49, and she had tuberculosis. And she got this while she was imprisoned in Mount Vernon Barracks in Alabama. So there's a series called Warrior Women. I think it's hosted by Lucy Lawless, who was um, uh, I can't think of her name now. It's not Athena. Xena. She was Xena, Warrior Woman, and she hosted this series, and they just tell a beautiful, beautiful story about Lozen and actually Mulan and uh, Joan of Arc, who we're going to look at next. So she's believed to have been born on January 6th of 1412. Now, if this is the correct date, she had the North Node in Pisces. And, anytime within an 18-month window, she would have had the North Node in Pisces. So I just found that interesting. That was the only one I could even begin to look up a birthday for. And she was 13 years old when she saw her and heard her first heavenly vision and messages. And for a long time, she didn't tell anybody. Pisces can be secretive that way. It's like, yeah, maybe it's better not for me to say anything. It's very Piscean in the sense that she had this access to multidimensional connections to the divine. So she was getting these messages for a while, and then she was guided to score a miraculous string of victories over the rather surprised English battalions by leading the charge into their front lines. Very Aries. So she was starting to get a lot of respect from the soldiers because the things that she said and predicted and how she could help them win. And this was the English-French War that had been going on for almost 100 years, 90 years it had been going on. And and they were about to conquer the French. And she came along and turned it all upside down. So let's see. So at age 16, she correctly predicted the outcome of a battle to a French commander who then agreed to take her to Charles, the king, who I guess the king or somebody who was in charge at that time. She had high intuition, which was very Pisces, and then of course she could predict the outcome, and she was part of that, and that's the Aries aspect of it. In April of 1429, so this is she's like 17. The English forces had besieged Orleans for 6 months, and it was the last city to resist their advance. And so after 90 years of war, all of France was now within England's grasp. Then she comes along at the age of 17 in full armor, turned the tide of the war, and led the French troops to victory. So, Aries. She was only 19 when she was burned at the stake because then she was accused of being a witch. And they did these witch trials of her. And so on May 30th of 1431, which is now her feast day, interesting, so keep that in mind. They celebrate her now. She was burned at the stake, and her heart did not burn. And the executioners were like, "What?" And they tried to burn her heart many times, and it just would not burn. So, her unburned heart was seen as a sign of her sanctity and later led to her canonization as a saint, very Piscean. So she definitely represents this Pisces Aries energy in ways that are just so amazing to contemplate and consider. It's like it's not just Aries and it's not just Pisces, but it is definitely Aries Pisces or Pisces Aries.
Mm, amazing. So now, as we move into the modern present women, let's talk about Simone Biles. So I could look up the modern women's charts, so I'm able to see like what Pisces and Aries they have in their charts. So she has a Pisces Sun, Venus, and Mercury, and she has Saturn in Aries. And we know her as this fierce competitor with this enormous heart. Like you always see her just cheering everyone on at any of the championships or the Olympics that I've seen her in. She is widely regarded as one of the greatest gymnasts of all time and has won the most Olympic medals of any US gymnast, which to me is just so Aries, right? I mean, you have to be like fierce warrior as strength to be an Olympian and an Olympic gymnast in particular, right? And she's tiny. She's super tiny, but she is like a powerhouse, right? She was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which to me is a intersection of Aries and Pisces, right? Freedom, so much about the Aries, but that she's getting recognized for her amazing contribution to the collective, right? Pisces. So she was with her siblings, were put into foster care when her mom just couldn't handle raising them. And once her grandfather and his wife found out that they were in foster care, he came and got all of the kids and then adopted Simone and her youngest sister, and his sister or maybe her aunt adopted her two other siblings. So they were, brought out of foster care by their family. So she's obviously been in the situation of feeling the deepest sorrows and pains that so informs Pisces. After the Beijing Olympics, she took a year off to co-author her autobiography, Courage to Soar, A Body in Motion, A Life in Balance. And this is a quote from it. I want people to reach for their dreams. And there are so many people who have inspired me with their love and encouragement along the way. And I want to pass on that inspiration to readers, right? So Pisces there as well, right? That she's taking a whole year off in like the height of like her career to do this because she wants to get this message out that it's not just only for her, right? And then she does a lot of philanthropic work. And one of the biggest things is she's focused on helping children in foster care, very Pisces. But helping is also, right, caring for young people facing poverty and mental health challenges. There's the Aries piece as well, the great protector, through an organization called Friends of the Children. And here's something I thought was really interesting about her as well that's like that real intersection of Aries and Pisces, that she was sexually assaulted by the US gymnastics physician Larry Nassar, and she testified to the US Senate Judiciary Committee And she blamed the entire system for enabling and perpetuating Nasser's crimes, saying that the USA Gymnastics and the US Olympic and Paralympic Committee failed to do their jobs and protect these women, right? So she's speaking out using her voice, but she's doing it in this massive, like healing, supportive way, right? Justice, getting things changed, but to protect and care for and hold a safe space for all the other gymnasts, right? And she wore a teal leotard, which, like, I remember that she had designed specifically to honor the survivors of Nasser's abuse as a statement of unity at one of the US national championships, which I thought was so Pisces, even the teal leotard, right? So I
I
love
love that. Oh my gosh. And if you think about how the safe space, Pisces is about how do we help and heal? We create a safe space. And so that she has the fierceness and the ability, and this is another way Aries and Pisces works together, because Aries is the protector and will create a safe space. And one of my favorite things that I learned years ago was the original midwives were not women who helped women give birth. They were women who protected the birthing space. So the women knew how to give birth. They didn't need help. They just needed to be safe in order to give birth. So this is a way Aries Pisces works together. It's like creating the safe space so that whatever needs to come forth can come forth.
Yes, exactly. Well said. Thank you. So, Queen Latifah is our next present Aries Pisces woman, and she has a Pisces sun, an Aries Venus, and Chiron, right? So, she is mission driven, a powerful woman of heart. She's one of the first ladies of hip hop, which was previously like a very male dominated genre. She's known primarily for challenging Eurocentric ideals, right? European ideals of what the female body should look like, how they should be, the size, all of that, and representing the Black female body, right? So she's an advocate for body positivity, Black liberation, and women's empowerment. And she took the name Queen Latifah, and Latifah is Arabic for gentle, kind, and sensitive, right? So there is that Pisces. And then also she took the term Queen, which actually has another Piscean representative to it because she was choosing that as a name to support like all Black women are queens in their own right, right? So she said, picking a new name for myself would be my first act of defining who I was, Aries, for myself and for the world, right? Aries, Pisces. Becoming Latifah would give me the autonomy to be what I chose to be, right? That full Aries individuation. Queen Latifah has long been a champion for Black artists and storytellers, co-founding Flavor Unit Entertainment, and using her platform to amplify voices that Hollywood had long overlooked. And she started Queen Collective, which is a program designed to support female directors through mentoring, providing distribution opportunities, and supporting film production, helping their voices to be heard, right? So Aries and Pisces, like protection, standing up for, and then helping support.
I love that you brought this in so much. And I was telling you before we started the video that Peter and I have been watching. We just kind of stumbled across this show with she's the star. Queen Latifah is the star, and it's called The Equalizer, which of course sounds exactly like what Aries is doing. It's like bringing justice back into equalizing things again, and it's all about she was a ex-CIA operative and she left the CIA because she didn't like their rules and how they were making her do things that didn't feel right to her. And so she up and left, and she just starts helping people in that are going through experiences from the government, from gangs, from different situations. And she goes in and she's fierce intensely fierce. You do not want to mess with her. And she's hugely compassionate and caring. And she really is doing this from the place of heart that she wants to make a difference in the world. So the show itself is very Aries Pisces as well. And I'm just so excited that this is the way I've been seeing her. And now to see that she has the Pisces sun and Venus in Aries and Chiron in Aries. So amazing.
And so our last woman of modern day is Dolores Huerta, and she has Uranus and her IC in Pisces, and she has a Venus, Mercury, and Chiron in Aries. And she is one of the most influential labor activists of the 20th century with a huge heart. I mean, she has made huge change in the world and continues to. So she is known for co-founding the National Farm Workers Association with Cesar Chavez, who interestingly had Sun in Aries and Moon, Mercury, and Jupiter in Pisces. So I thought that was really amazing that those two started this National Farm Workers Association together, and they're so Aries Pisces. So discrimination is what helped shape Huerta into becoming an activist. A school teacher who was prejudiced against Hispanics accused Huerta of cheating because her papers were too well written. And so obviously that pissed her off, I'm sure. And
Her
she
Aries
became
did not like that.
no, not at all, right? And so she became a school teacher briefly, and as a school teacher herself, she was seeing so many hungry farm children coming to school. She thought she could do more to help them by organizing farmers and farm workers. So she organized workers, negotiated contracts, advocated for safer working conditions, including the elimination of harmful pesticides. She also fought for unemployment and health care benefits for agricultural workers, including forming unions and bargaining for better wages and conditions. And so just that little paragraph doesn't even begin to touch on the massive things that she has done and continues to do. I just saw recently that she's like coming to Denver um, next week to help participate in a march to support immigrants right now. And so she is fierce and just keeps on going. But if you ever see her interviewed, she's just like super heart-based, super like loving, and she just did it all to like help. There was this fierceness, fire, but it was built on this compassion and love and understanding in a way to really support and help and heal this community from all of the horrible conditions that they have been facing as farmers. So Obama stole his words, stole her slogan, which she said, "Si se puede." Yes, you can, for his presidential campaign. And he awarded her the Presidential Medal of Freedom. So she and Simone Biles have both received that. She continues to advocate helping to elect more Latinos and women to political office and is champion for women's issues as well. I mean, she is a powerhouse and has really made a huge difference in the world. So,
I am just loving this so much because we can we can look to the past and get some ideas, but looking to the present and seeing who's here now expressing this Aries Pisces combination of archetypal energy, it's just brilliant. And we will be doing more of this through the Venus cycle that's starting. We'll have our first live Venus class at the end of April. I think it's April 21st or something like that, before the first Venus moon gate. But we will be bringing more of this kind of information into the cycle and how we're working with it in a ceremonial way. And what we're also, one of the things that's been also exciting about looking at Aries Pisces is how many goddesses express Aries Pisces. It's been consciousness expanding. Yay, I'm gonna get this new way of saying it soon. So yeah, and so we're very excited. And if you would like to join us for this cycle, There'll be a link in the show notes that can take you to the details of what we're doing for this Aries Pisces Meta Goddess cycle. So, anything you want to say and wrapping this up?
I just want to say that, this new Venus cycle that's starting is such a powerful opportunity for us to step into more of our power, like all of these women we've been talking about, but with that like heart-based compassion for the world. And I think this intersection of Aries and Pisces gives us an amazing opportunity in our divine feminine aspects to really help shift our own inner world that then shifts the outer world that we're all living in and experiencing in such a beautiful way. So we would love to have you join us and lean into all of this together and go through this experience and this journey with you.
Oh, that's so good. Yes, we increase the intention exponentially when we come together. So that's the reason why we want to do that. And I know Aries can sometimes be a bit of a lone wolf, but when Pisces is involved, not so much.
Yeah.
I live the Pisces Aries, and I've never been a lone wolf. Never. I've always wanted to be around people. So I can say that with some authority. So thank you all for being with us, and we look forward to connecting with you down the road.